first time.
Hey, hi there. My name is Tina. This is the Centered with Jesus podcast, and I am here with my friend Amy Kuscsik. She has a brand new book, Shabbat, Experiencing the Habits to Practice the Pause. She is not only a new author, but she is a certified yoga therapist, a yoga instructor, and just an overall good person. So we're going to talk today about her new book. If you have tried so many things to rest, if you think about your to-do list while you're trying to rest, if you need to practice the pause, this book is for you. Amy, first, tell us about you. Give us some background so we can get to know you.
Yeah, hi, thank you. So my name's Amy Kuscsik. I am a body-based yoga therapist, which basically means that I help people work through a lot of the pent-up angst and trauma and anything that doesn't serve them through and out of the body in a more methodical way. Okay. But I'm also a yoga teacher, which means that I offer public classes, private classes, one-on-ones, retreats, workshops, all of those normal yoga teacher things. I live in Ohio with my husband. We're now an empty nester with 3 kids that are all in college to be a psychologist, an English teacher, and a computer engineer.
Oh, wow. They're running the gamut. They're all in college now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying the empty nester space?
I think I am. This is one of those things when your kids are small and they're a handful and they're toddlers and you're like, oh, one day they'll be gone. But now that they are, it's like, I want them back.
Yeah. I get that every time mine leave the house. But they're only 7 and 9, so like they still need mom.
Yeah.
Mommy. Yeah, so that's a little different. Well, I hope you guys get some good, maybe you can do some traveling.
I do a lot of traveling now.
Yeah, you do. That is true. But empty nester, yeah, I'm a little bit removed from that, but I'm glad.
But I had time to write a book, so I mean that's one thing I did with my.
And it gives you time to come to the Christian Yoga Expo, the first ever Christian Yoga Expo. If you are watching or listening to this podcast in 2024, the first one is this October. It's the 11th and 12th of 2024. We are in Columbus, Ohio. We're actually in Etna, which is right outside Columbus. We started in Columbus, and before we even announced the expo, we had to find another venue because we outgrew the first one. So that's why it's in Columbus, Etna. And you're going to be a keynote speaker there. So people can come see you, connect with you. They can get your book there, and you're going to be signing books. Mm-hmm. And you're a keynote speaker. And you're going to have some fun things at your booth. You're doing a make and take bracelet bar and candle bar. That's just on Saturday. You're speaking Friday and Saturday. You're going to be very busy.
I will, yes.
But people want to connect with you one-on-one. That's going to be a great place to come, get your book signed, listen to you speak. So what made you write this book in particular, and why'd you call it Shabbat? Because when I hear the word Shabbat, I do think of Saturday, Sabbath, for those who practice Judaism. Mm-hmm. Because in the Christian realm, we just call it Sunday. That's like the day of rest, God's day, the 7th day of rest. But maybe I'm the only one that thinks that when they hear the word Shabbat.
No, that's a really good question. So let me just start with the first part, like why I even put this book together. So one of the things as a yoga teacher, which evolved into yoga therapy, is this incessant drive for self-care. So many years ago, I just started this whole journey of what does self-care look like, right? Mm-hmm. And because I work in a mental health agency, it's a kids counseling agency, but we'll also see adults and individuals. I work a lot with the caregivers, whether it's mom or grandma or some level of generation that cares for these kids that are enduring their own struggles. Okay. They also endure some of that vicarious trauma. And the one thing that I hear every single time is I have no time for myself to replenish and refill my reserves so that I can then take care of little Johnny and help him journey through this. Mm-hmm. So I just started offering a lot of different self-care options
Okay.
where it's great if we can go to the spa for the day, right? But what about when you're in line, the pickup line for school for 10 minutes? Can you put on your favorite song? Can you open up a book? Can you just close your eyes and set an alarm? Like, what can you do to essentially practice the pause, not just for a whole day, but multiple times throughout your day?
Okay.
So in that, I really got a knack for meditations, nidras. I started exploring more into emotional freedom technique or tapping, um, breath work, and all the things that we can do that don't require getting something like getting a spa package or having to put nail polish on or going to the movies, like something we can do that doesn't cost us anything.
Okay.
So out of that, just building all of these scripts, I had a friend that said, Amy, you have got to start publishing these, like put them together. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. Well, it took several years to do it. And
Okay.
so I finally called my friend Jody and I said, all right, Jody, I'm going to do it. Like, and she's kind of mentored me through this book process.
Which
Um,
Jody has some great books too, and
yeah.
I'm gonna totally plug her right
Yes,
here
please.
because Voices of Wisdom, super phenomenal book, and we're gonna have Jody on the show. We just have to schedule
Awesome.
it. But so yes, if you are watching the video stream of this, I'm holding up a copy of the book. Both these books, by the way, you can get them on Amazon.
Hmm.
And they're both, look at this, they're over 200 pages. Like, I was surprised for the price both times when both books showed up. I was like, oh, I was expecting this little, like, pocket guide. And
Yeah.
thorough. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
book, but continue.
Yeah, Shabbat and Voices of Wisdom are like full size workbook sizes that are like 230, 240 pages. And I use Voices of Wisdom in my therapy practice all the time. Like
Yeah.
there's just some great content in there that helps people get into the body. So I decided I have all of these scripts. I want to be able to put them out somewhere. And then it turned out to be, well, let me invite other people because I have friends who are very gifted and talented writers that just really enjoy that slower, gentle pace of yoga that includes that extended restorative or shavasana at the end of their classes.
Yeah.
So I have about 6 other contributing writers from all over the world that said, yes, I have something I want to contribute. So whether it's a meditation, a nidra, there's a 7-week series that goes through the 7 last words of Christ. There's tapping, there's pranayama breath work. I mean, there is something for everybody in varying lengths. So I thought, let's put that in there. But there's so many books out there that just have, you want scripts, here you go. I mean, you can go
Yeah.
into Google and find a free PDF, which is super and handy. Like, we need to have access to resources no matter where we go look for them. So I thought, I want to be able to put a little bit more meat and potatoes and content into why do we even need to do this, right? Like, let's give some background to what is meditation and mindfulness and what are some tools that we can have. Why do we have a script for tapping? Why do we have scripts for nidra? What's the difference between meditation and nidra? And all the layman questions that we ask. I mean, even yogis are saying, well, really, what's the difference? I don't know. I just read something lovely at the end of class and the participants melted and they walked away floating. So,
Yeah.
and really at the end of the day, that's what like we want. We want them to feel better than, when they arrived. So when it came to the name, I knew the concept that I wanted. And actually the original title was going to be something to the effect of, girl, put down that bag or something about that, like the bags that we carry. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not sticking because we carry so much stuff that we need to start putting down. So we know, like, as moms, like, I just did this yesterday. It was my housework day. I've got my basket of laundry. I have my iPad. I have my fresh made iced coffee. I have my phone. I have all the things. And I'm like, I'm efficient. I'm going to make it in one trip. And as soon as like I make it to the top of the stairs, I can drop these things off that go in the bathroom. I can walk over here, unload this and unload that. And the journey from point A to point B got progressively easier.
Yeah. Okay.
But for some reason, it just didn't stick. So I was chatting with another friend at a retreat, and she's like, the whole premise is about pausing, rest, mindfulness. What about Shabbat, which is the day of rest? And I'm like, I think I like that. Let me chew on this for a little bit. So I kind of played around with it and I thought, yeah, that's what we need. So that's why the byline is about, exploring the habits to practice the pause. And the book cover, if you look close enough, they're wishies.
They're what?
Yeah, they're wishies, like dandelions when they turn to white.
That's what I thought it was. And I'm like, that's such a beautiful picture. Did you take the picture?
I wish I took the picture. I didn't.
Okay.
So
you're just so talented in everything. I was like, she probably took it.
I feel like I should now for my next book. I mean, I'm just saying I'm probably going to keep writing and have to put out like another volume.
And you should.
But, as little kids, something that I would be able to do, and I grew up like in the 70s and 80s, it was go out and play. We didn't have technology. Parents didn't want to give us, all the stuff that we give our kids today. Right. So it would literally be, and I'm an early bird. That's kind of weird for a lot of people. I'm an early bird. I'm up at 5:30 just on my own. So yeah, I was like that as a kid. And so what would I do? I can go outside and play. Couldn't ride my bike yet, but I can go out and play, and you just pick up wishies and you blow wishies. Fast forward, 35, 40 years, and I use that concept, even with blowing bubbles, with the kids that I get to work with, to slow down the breath, right? So as moms, we go, right? Like we have to consciously do that. How do we lead children into that? Who don't even give breath a second thought.
They don't.
Blowing wishies, like right? Yeah, blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
They have to blow slowly if they want to appreciate the reward, the payoff. So if we as adults can get back to our childlike self, right? Yeah. I mean, even biblically in Matthew, it says, let them come to me as little children.
Yes.
Like, don't push them away. And as adults, we're told so many times, get over it, figure it out. That's what you get. This is adulting. This is life. But we don't tell kids that. We would never, and especially in today's age, we would never tell children. We want to cuddle them and protect them more. That's probably for a whole nother episode, though.
That is a whole other thing, yes. Because both of us are Gen X, and we grew up with the "you're fine, walk it off" generation. Yes. Like our parents totally told us that, and like I can't imagine, like, yeah, that's just such a psychological thing. Especially my son, if he gets hurt. He wants to be coddled. He wants to be held. It doesn't matter if it's just he tripped or if he like bit it on a bicycle, in the middle of the street with the asphalt. He wants to be held, and they need that. But that is a whole other episode. Yeah. We'll have to do that another time.
So, giving permission for adults to experience habits that get them to practice the pause essentially by default. So we don't have to think, wait a minute, I deserve a 10-minute break, a 10-second break, a 10-hour break, a 10-day, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. My default is going to be, what can I do to regulate and calm myself and be more mindful of where I'm at? Planting a flower, or maybe you can take a trip over, around the world. Whatever it is, we all have access to things like that. So Shabbat, experiencing the habits to practice the pause, is a very tangible way that we can have with us, either as a parent who just wants to read something over their kids. Even just reading it can be very calming. But for the most part, on the yoga teacher side, it's something we want to gift our students to have something that's already written. I mean, this book, I have heard from other instructors that are using it, are saying, I don't have to think about what I'm reading anymore. There is so much in here. Wow. Also,
it really is.
Even with the scripts, they're sacred and they're secular scripts that are in there. So some of them are very biblically steeped with scripture and characters and things like that. Others are just a little bit more neutral. Okay. So no matter what sort of class you're teaching, this book can essentially cover a lot of different things. If you need a 10-minute, if you need an hour, whatever you need, you can even pull pieces apart. And my hope is that even if someone thinks, I don't love all of the scripts, it's a really good jumping off point for me to be able to edit it myself. And, write in the book, mark it up. I mean, that's that's why it's a workbook size, so it can be used. Yeah, I
I
know.
have such a
You're like,
hard
don't
time
write
with
books.
that. Just like my Bible, there are some people they're marking it up. They've got the special markers now that don't bleed through, like the highlighters. I got a whole set of them. I can't do it. Why?
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the Baptist church with a King James Bible, and it was very proper. And we
Oh
just
wow.
don't mark books up. And
Yeah.
like now,
Are
my
you a
9 year
post-it
old,
girl?
if you dog ear a page on a book, my 9 year old will about lose her mind. She loves books. How are you destroying it? So,
Yeah.
but it is a good size. I do want, if you're watching, look at this book. I mean, it's huge. It is workbook size. There's a lot of space in here for notes, for highlighting. There's chapter headings. There's a contents at the beginning. And yeah, you've got everything listed out: meditation, mindfulness, yoga nidra, moving meditations. I'm just kind of glossing over all of them. EFT. Yoga nidra seems to be growing in popularity, I've noticed over the recent years, and tapping as well. Tell us
Mm-hmm.
about tapping. Can you give us, that seems fairly recent on the yoga scene. Can you tell us what that's about?
Yeah, so tapping basically strikes a variety of different meridian points from basically under the arm up to the top of the head.
Okay.
And it does also include the wrist point, which is what they call the karate chop point. So tapping is, and it's very biblically based, which I go into a lot more like in the book, but we need to call it by name. Well, so instead of saying, Lord, I'm just in such a bad mood, I'm so mad. Well, saying, Lord, I am distraught. I'm in a bad mood. I'm angry that I got fired for no reason. I'm just going to make it up,
Whatever
right?
it is, yeah.
That I had to endure this hardship at work and I am just so angry and mad. What am I going to do? Right? Like we want to lament. Well, be specific, call it out by name, and then let it all go. So starting from the top of the head and at these different points, top of the head, side of the eye, under the nose, the chin, the collarbone, and under the arm, like where our limbs are. Limbs.
Mm.
Okay. You just kind of keep working through that whole thing. Think of it like sifting the dry ingredients when you bake so that there's no clumps in it, right?
Ah, yeah.
We're just going to sift out, okay, this is what I'm feeling. I'm so mad this happened to me. How am I going to tell my spouse? My kids have school pictures coming up, right? It just makes me so angry. I'm worth it. How am I going to find a job? So we're just going to lament and talk through all the things that happen, what we're actually feeling, giving ourselves permission to feel the feels, right? Then we're going to just breathe in and wash over the affirmations. But I'm still a qualified person. I am gifted with skills and assets that will help me find another job. I trust in the Lord to take care of our finances. I know that I'm going to be okay. Lord, give me that opportunity to find other work. And you're just going to continue to tap through those different areas. And progressively, you'll notice how the breath slows down. Your confidence builds. You got to verbally explain, here's what's happening. And I guess you don't have to say it out loud because you don't have to do it with anybody.
Right.
But I would encourage people audibly speak these things out, right? Like get the ugly out, right? Like let's just say
Yes.
it. But then we're going to seal it. So it's kind of like the example where like, hey, my son's going down the road. He completely wipes out on his bike. He had road rash. What is the first thing he's going to do? He's going to get up, look at himself, and maybe start crying, be nervous. He's going to run to you. And then you're going to coddle him and say, are you okay? I'm so sorry this happened to you. I love you. Let's look at fixing that. No, it's okay. You're not dumb for crashing your bike. You are still a good boy. I mean, you're gonna love on him through that. We get to treat ourselves with the same kind of love and dignity. We have permission to acknowledge this is just the garbage that's happening, but I know what the Lord says about me.
Ah, that's beautiful. Yeah, because as caregivers, that's really hard for us.
Mm-hmm.
Focused on everyone else. I know something you mentioned earlier about just you do think about, okay, time for me. I've got to book a spa appointment, or I have to make that time with friends, or I have to schedule something. But it could be in your car. And I know in the pickup
Mm.
line, when my kids were in school, we're homeschooling now. Um, we just like there's just this unspoken rule. We're all there 10, 15 minutes early to pick up our kids, and we're all just sitting there. We don't talk to each other. We're just in our car, we're on our phones, or we're listening to music, relaxing. um, because you need that, and you don't think about that as relaxing. But there's so many points in this book that help you like find those spaces. Can you talk about rapid relaxation, and how that works? Because that I found interesting. Had never heard of it. And I know there's like guided relaxation and all that. But can you talk to us just a little bit about rapid relaxation?
Yeah, and I think I have a script in there that kind of goes to it. And it's basically focused on the premise of grounding. And so, grounding, for people who don't know, is how do I bring my scattered thoughts and feelings back to the very center, literally right where I am?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling the ground underneath my feet or under my seat where I'm sitting. Looking around and recognizing I have my dog. I can see the breeze blowing through those flowers. I see one of my tomatoes are red. I can hear the air conditioner going. I can taste my berry smoothie. And it's all these things that are pulling us back to right now. I can feel my breath. My breath feels quick. Okay, my breath is starting to slow down. I'm okay. I'm right here, and right now this is what I have to focus on, is what's right here, right now in front of me. And you can quickly or rapidly bring yourself back to the present. And at least you're not at a 10, maybe you're down to an 8. The goal is that
Right.
after practice and letting it be your default, you can go from, maybe it doesn't go to a 10, maybe your ceiling is at an 8, and now it can bring it back down to a 2 or a 3.
Okay, so that's really perfect for those really hectic moments, or like that 10 minutes that you take to yourself in the car to just kind
Mm.
of. Because I noticed that pre-COVID, we all had this like need to fill up our planners, and we all walked around with planners. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
we're buying them now post 2020. But I do love a good planner, and I actually have mine right here. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of notes in mine, but like we used to fill this, and we had the more stuff we had on our to-do list, the more important we were. And it was like this
Mm.
rite of honor and passage. And look at me, I'm juggling 50 different things. And now, like, if I don't have these days where, I mean, I'm working every day because, as you may know, the Centered with Jesus podcast is brought to you by Christian Yoga Magazine. And, you know, so I am working every day on the magazine or the expo, whatever, but like, I don't have these appointments to go to. You know, like one of them says fair, just hanging out with my kids because there's a fair in town, and there was a showing for the house because I'm selling my house. And then I've got you on here, my meeting with you, but that's it for my week. And I'm trying to not schedule so much stuff. And it's
Mm-hmm.
hard because it makes you feel important. And look at me, I've got all this stuff on my to-do list. In 2020, we went from, I was teaching 9 to 12 classes a week, yoga, and I went to nothing. I was also running, we have a family bakery. I was running that. I was doing the two things, and the kids were in school and everything, and dogs. And then all of a sudden, there was nothing to do. Nothing
Yeah.
to do except go on Facebook and look for updates and find out how long we had to quarantine for, and make sure that we
Yeah.
had enough toilet paper. And if you are watching this in the future and didn't live through 2020, Google it. It was wild. Google the toilet paper thing. But it's really important to have that pause and to not fill this up. And I
Mm-hmm.
do catch myself where I'm like, okay, what can I put in here? What am I doing? And you need that time to not do those things, and
Right.
to relax and to ground yourself and to meditate on the word. What advice do you have for people who are constantly going. And sometimes when you're a caregiver, like, you don't have a choice if you've got special needs children, or you're taking care of your parents, your grandparents, siblings, whatever it is. Sometimes you just don't have a choice. You just keep going. So what advice do you have, or what tools would you guide them to in this book for them?
Yeah. So my best advice, my best suggestion for using this book or the concepts that are in this book, it is not selfish to put you first. If you're in the position that you are caring for others, that you are leading a home, you're leading a committee at work or at church, you are in a position that people are looking to you.
Mm-hmm.
It is most critical that you are practicing the pause,
Yeah.
that you are finding those pockets of respite so you can be a better leader. Leaders of burnout aren't leading, they're barely surviving. Okay. Even if you're not a leader, but you're in the position to kind of follow the lead, you're on the committee, but you're doing the work, you're an equal.
Mm-hmm.
You're a teenage kid that is playing sports and you're following the lead of the coach, the pressure of finding colleges. What are you going to do this summer? What classes are you taking? All of that. We want to serve in our best way from a place of rest, right? Nothing happens in the Bible that didn't come from a place of rest.
That's so true.
Even if it was for pause. David didn't slay Goliath because he was running around crazy and amped up, and he came in, he paused, he took that breath, he prayed, and slung a stone. Nehemiah, he prayed and fasted for weeks before approaching the king and saying, will you please give me the provisions to go back and rebuild the walls of my town? Yes, it happened. He had to pause. Even in that, even while he was back rebuilding the city, he had to sanctify his time. There's a time for work and there's a time to play. Even in Ecclesiastes, it tells us there's a time for everything. So no matter your age, your profession, your position of power in the home or of work, we all need to be able to practice the pause. And if you have a way that you're able to do that or other resources, that's really the point. If you don't, and you're like, I've tried everything or I've tried nothing, and I'm just really curious on how I can use it, then Shabbat, experiencing habits to practice the pause is a great place to start.
Yeah. There are a lot of different exercises in here, and some of them short, some of them long. I have, I have gotten a lot of your writings through Christian Yoga Magazine because you've written for us since the beginning. I've used them for myself. I've used them in my classes. I don't think that's news to you, but there are different lengths. But you did mention, and I have not finished the book. I'm working on it. I finished it, but I do find myself pausing to, like, as I was reading through it last night, I'm like, okay, I'm going to practice this right now and try it out. But you did mention there's the 7 last words of Jesus, and that's a 7-week script. Is it a script? Okay.
Essentially, yeah.
Can you tell us about that? Because that really piqued my interest, and I just want to know about that.
Yeah, so that one was written by my friends Jody Tomei of Voices of Wisdom and Sarah Wells. Sarah Wells has countless publications. She's a poet, she's a writer, highly gifted. She's from our neighborhood, our town, our area, right? And her and Jody have collaborated on these 7 last words that are broken down to be almost like a 7-week series. So it has a mix of like poetry, guided suggestions, meditation. It's absolutely beautiful. So as a yoga teacher, you can essentially plan out a 7-week series. And I believe it's all based around, like great for Easter. You can really do it for any time. In your home, break that down. Do it for 7 days with the family or 7 weeks with the family. If you're in a small group, if you have a home-based church, use it as a 7-week series to preach from. That is one of the most beautiful. It's a very meaty writing, and
Okay.
it's a true gift for this book.
I am excited to get to that part and to read that. There is so much in this book, so there's no one that this doesn't apply to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to practice the pause and just, even when you think about it, if you go back to Genesis, start at the very beginning, Genesis 1:1, God created all these things, and then God himself, the omnipotent, all, everything, Alpha, Omega being, took a day of rest.
He did, yeah.
And you do not need to work 7 days a week and be busy 7 days a week, even though we really, society, I don't know about in other countries, but definitely here in America, we just put so much value on being busy, and we're just, COVID's over, we're just creeping back to it. I can see it, with scheduling all the things. And so there are so many takeaways from this book. I cannot possibly sit here and go through them all, but there is something for everyone. You can get this book on Amazon. You can also get, as we talked about several times, Jody's book, Voices of Wisdom in the Body. That is also on Amazon. Both Jody and Amy will be at the Christian Yoga Expo in Ohio this year. My time limit's up with my dog. So we're going to wrap this up. But both of you will be speaking. Both of you will have books. Both of you will be signing books. And you will have copies with you. But I highly encourage people, because everybody's traveling. If you have a copy, or you get the copy ahead of time and bring it for her to sign, so that we don't run out, because I've been to book signings where that happens, and that's kind of a bummer. And you want to read through it so that you can ask questions. Amy will be speaking both Friday and Saturday. Give us a quick rundown what you're speaking on, so that people know what they're looking for.
Yeah, so generally I'm going to teach on practicing as a yoga therapist from a trauma-informed perspective. What does that look like? And the other one, which I'm really excited about that dovetails with the book, is how do you write meditation? What is it? How do we even go about exploring it? So it's going to be an interactive workshop style class that I'm going to give you the fail-proof way of how you can write a meditation even on the fly.
All right. Awesome. Is there anything that I didn't ask you but I should have?
My favorite flavor ice cream is a coffee and almond coffee or ice cream. It's by Tillamook. I just found it. It's amazing. So if you love coffee and you need a little crunch, this has been my weakness the last 2 weeks.
Totally going to the store after that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
Blue. My favorite color is blue. I'm wearing navy blue right now. I just noticed that because you asked.
Do you have any pets at home?
I have a lot of pets. 5.
Oh my gosh.
Wally is a black Labradoodle. Bailey is a mutt. I think she's a lab boxer. Finley is an adorable little mini Aussie Doodle. I have a cat named Harry Styles, but my daughter names him. He's all black. I call him Kitty Kitty. And then we just got another one here about 6 weeks ago. The kids found him in our woods and rescued him and left him with me. So his name was initially the General because they were on their way to Dollar General when they found him.
Which, if you're not from the Midwest, let me tell you, we have Dollar General on the East Coast, which is where I'm from. But then I moved to the Midwest, and the obscene amount of corn out here is one thing. But there's a Dollar General on every corner, and I'm like, but why? And it's because somebody was telling me about something last night, and they were like, you can get it at Target. And I'm like, okay, well, that's an hour from me, and Walmart's 20 minutes from me. But there's Dollar Generals everywhere. And as soon as something closes or they clear a field that they're not using anymore, they put a Dollar General up. And
listen, it's their mission. Every 6 miles, they want a Dollar General.
We got a Dollar General Market. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have one 6 miles away.
Okay, mine's like 10 miles away, but they have fresh fruit and vegetables and meat.
Chicken. I don't know if I trust it all, to be honest. But
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I don't know how you can ruin a sack of potatoes, but I mean.
That is funny. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for being so willing to do this. Thank you for putting this book together. Again, the book is Shabbat, Experiencing the Habits to Practice the Pause. You can get it on Amazon. You can connect with Amy. It is amykuscsik.com. That's AMYKUSCSIK.com. You can connect with her there. Definitely check it out. If you cannot make it to the Christian Yoga Expo in October, there's going to be other opportunities to connect with you, I'm sure. I know you're doing probably the revival, right? Christian
I
Yoga
am going to be at the
Revival. You're
Christian
gonna
Yoga
be
Teacher
there.
Revival.
And I know Jody does a lot of retreat work, and you guys are kind of two peas in a pod there. So we appreciate you being here. I hope everybody can connect with you. Everybody, go get this book.
Thank you.
It's phenomenal. There's something in there for everyone. And I just can't thank you enough for being here. Again, thank you for tuning in. This is the Centered with Jesus podcast, brought to you by Christian Yoga Magazine. Visit us at christianyogamagazine.com. And Amy, again, thank you. We'll have you back on the show real soon. Okay?
I love that. Thank you so much. Be well, Tina.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.